world does not respect the good, only the necessary. You've been lied to. They told you kindness earns respect, that goodness protects you, that if you're patient, loyal, and fair, the world will reward you. It won't. While you were being good, others were being necessary, and necessary always wins. You think your morality makes you strong? It doesn't. It makes you predictable, controllable, easy to dismiss. Every time you prioritize being liked over being useful, you hand your power to someone who doesn't care about fairness. They care about control, and control belongs to those who understand one truth. Respect is not given to the virtuous. It's given to the indispensable. Machiavelli knew this 5 centuries ago. The Prince was not written for saints. It was written for survivors. Men who understood that the world operates on necessity, not morality. That power protects itself first. That goodness without strength is just permission for others to take what's yours. You don't have to be evil to win, but you do have to be necessary. You do have to be willing to enforce consequence. You do have to stop performing virtue for people who see it as weakness. This is not about becoming cruel. This is about becoming unavoidable. 6 principles, 6 shifts, 6 truths that separate the good from the necessary. By the end, you'll understand why being harmless kept you powerless, and what to do about it. Every time you try to prove you're good, you hand your power to those who don't care about goodness. You bend, you soften, you adjust your boundaries so they'll see your purity. But they don't. They see weakness wrapped in kindness, and weakness, no matter how well-intended, triggers contempt. You think goodness will earn respect. It won't. Respect is not given to those who deserve it. Respect is given to those who demand it without asking. The moment you seek approval for being good, you've already lost control of how they see you. People don't follow kindness. They follow control. This is not cruelty. This is psychology. The brain doesn't light up for virtue. It lights up for dominance, certainty, and consequence. When you're harmless, you're forgettable. When you're necessary, you're irreplaceable. Goodness without power is background noise. It's the employee who never complains, the friend who always says yes, the partner who absorbs every insult in silence. You become the default option, not the priority. And default options are never protected. They're just there until they're not. Goodness becomes a silent invitation to be ignored when it carries no weight. You smile too much. You apologize too fast. You explain yourself when no one asked. These are not virtues. They're survival mechanisms from a version of you that feared rejection more than invisibility. But here's the truth. People don't respect those who fear them. They respect those who don't need them. When you stop performing goodness and start performing necessity, the dynamic shifts. Suddenly, your presence matters. Your absence is felt. Your words carry consequence. I've watched this pattern destroy men who thought decency was armor. It's not. Decency is a social contract that only works when both sides honor it. But most people don't. They take, they test, they push until they find your limit. And if you have none, they'll walk over you forever. I learned this in rooms where politeness was mistaken for permission, where silence was mistaken for agreement, where being the good guy meant being the one everyone used and no one remembered. That version of me died the day I realized goodness is not a strategy. Necessity is. Stop being harmless. Start being necessary. This is not about cruelty. It's about survival. It's about understanding that the world doesn't reward intention. It rewards impact. You don't need to be loud. You don't need to be aggressive. You need to be undeniable. You need to be the person people can't ignore, can't replace, can't dismiss. That requires power. And power begins the moment you stop waiting for permission to exist at full capacity. The next layer reveals why being good isn't just ineffective. It's a trap designed to keep you compliant. The good man believes goodness protects him. It doesn't. He thinks his loyalty will be returned, his patience rewarded, his silence respected. But the world doesn't work on fairness, it works on leverage, and the good man has none. He's built his identity on a foundation of moral currency that no one actually spends. He walks through life expecting reciprocity and gets exploitation instead. Because goodness, when stripped of power, becomes permission. Permission to interrupt him, to ignore him, to take from him without consequence. Society rewards him with moral applause and silent contempt. They call him reliable. They say he's a good guy. They pat him on the back at meetings and forget his name by dinner. This is the tax of being harmless. You get praise, but never priority. You get acknowledgement, but never authority. The good man becomes the emotional laborer everyone leans on, but no one follows. He's the one who listens to everyone's problems, but whose own problems are dismissed as trivial. Because if you're always available, you're never valuable. Availability without boundary is not kindness. It's self-erasure. He becomes the tool everyone praises, but no one fears. And fear, whether you like it or not, is respect's foundation, not terror, not cruelty, but the quiet awareness that crossing you has consequence. The good man has no consequence. He forgives too quickly. He explains when he should walk away. He gives chances to people who've already shown him who they are. This is not virtue. It's fear of confrontation dressed as compassion. And people sense it. They sense that beneath the kindness is someone who's afraid to be disliked. And once they sense that, the respect dies. I used to be that man. I thought if I stayed calm, stayed rational, stayed above it, people would see my strength. They didn't. They saw a target, a man who wouldn't fight back, a man who valued peace over respect. And in every room I entered, I was tested, not with aggression, with dismissal. My ideas were interesting but never implemented. My boundaries were understood but never honored. I was the good man, and the good man is a ghost in his own life, present but powerless, seen but never remembered. The good man is loved. The necessary man is remembered. Love is cheap. It costs nothing to like someone who never challenges you. But memory is reserved for those who left a mark, those who created impact, those who made people feel something other than comfort. You don't have to be cruel to be necessary. You just have to stop being optional. Stop being the backup plan. Stop being the one people call when everyone else is busy. The shift begins when you stop performing goodness and start enforcing standards. But that enforcement requires something most good men avoid: ruthlessness toward their own need for approval. You were told morality defines strength. It doesn't. Morality is a social script written by those who benefit from your compliance. It teaches you to wait your turn, to play fair, to believe that virtue will be rewarded in some distant, abstract future. But while you're waiting, others are moving. They're not asking permission. They're not concerned with being liked. They're concerned with being effective. And effectiveness doesn't care about your moral resume. It cares about results. The world doesn't pause to admire your character. It measures your utility and moves on. Machiavelli taught that survival justifies strategy, not emotion, not tradition. Survival. When a ruler faced rebellion, he didn't consult philosophy. He consulted necessity. What must be done to preserve power? What must be sacrificed to ensure continuity? These are not questions of good or evil. They're questions of logic. Machiavelli wasn't cruel for pleasure. He was clear about consequence. He understood that the appearance of morality could be more useful than morality itself. But when appearance conflicts with survival, you choose survival. Every time, without hesitation. The strong act from necessity, not approval. They don't need a committee to validate their decisions. They assess the situation, calculate the cost, and execute. This is not recklessness, it's clarity. Weak men drown in moral paralysis. They ask, "Is this right?" instead of, "Is this necessary?" And while they're debating ethics, someone else has already taken the opportunity. Power doesn't wait for you to feel comfortable. It moves toward those who are willing to act despite discomfort. The moment you prioritize being morally spotless over being strategically sound, you've chosen weakness disguised as virtue. I learned this watching men lose everything because they couldn't make the hard call. They had the resources, they had the insight, but they hesitated. They wanted to be seen as fair, as just, as good. And their competitors didn't care. Their competitors moved with cold precision while they sat in ethical limbo. One launched the product. The other debated whether it was right to compete aggressively. One walked away with the market. The other walked away with principles and poverty. Morality is a luxury afforded to those who've already secured power. For everyone else, it's a leash. The world does not respect the good. It respects the useful. You can be the kindest person in the room and still be invisible. You can have the purest intentions and still be replaceable. Because intention means nothing without execution. And execution requires you to act, even when the action feels morally ambiguous. This doesn't mean abandon ethics entirely. It means stop letting ethics paralyze you. Stop using morality as an excuse for inaction. The question is never, am I good enough? The question is, am I necessary enough? And necessity is measured by impact, not by how well you follow rules designed to keep you passive. No one respects you for existing, only for being useful. This is the truth they don't teach you in childhood. You were raised to believe respect is a birthright, that simply being human, being kind, being present is enough. It's not. Respect is transactional. It's earned through value, not virtue. Every interaction you have is a silent negotiation. People are asking themselves, consciously or not, what does this person provide? If the answer is nothing, their respect evaporates. You become background, a placeholder, someone they tolerate but never prioritize. Existence without utility is invisibility with a pulse. Respect is transactional. In every interaction, people subconsciously ask, "What do you provide?" They don't ask it out loud. They don't even realize they're doing it. But the brain is running calculations in real time. Status, resources, protection, entertainment, insight, connections. If you offer none of these, you register as neutral at best, and neutral is the graveyard of influence. You're not hated, you're ignored. You're not rejected, you're simply not considered. This is worse than conflict. Conflict at least acknowledges your presence. Neutrality erases you without a word. When the answer is nothing, their respect dies instantly. You see it in their eyes. The shift from engagement to scanning the room, the polite nods that mean nothing, the questions they don't ask because they've already decided you're not worth the effort. This isn't cruelty, it's efficiency. The human brain conserves energy. It doesn't invest attention in people who don't move the needle. If you're not solving a problem, creating an opportunity, or offering something scarce, you're irrelevant. And irrelevance is the slowest form of social death. I've been in rooms where my presence meant nothing. Early in my career, I thought showing up was enough. I thought if I was polite, professional, present, that would matter. It didn't. I watched others command attention effortlessly, not because they were louder, but because they were necessary. They had information others needed, skills others lacked, connections others wanted. I had none of that. So I sat in those rooms like furniture, seen but not noticed, there but not remembered. That's when I understood. Respect isn't about being good, it's about being indispensable. And indispensability is built through competence, scarcity, and strategic positioning. Become indispensable, or become invisible. This is not optional. If you want power, if you want influence, if you want respect that lasts beyond the moment, you must provide something others can't easily replace. Master a skill no one else has. Build a network others can't access. Develop judgment others rely on. Control a resource others need. This is how you move from optional to essential. And once you're essential, the dynamic changes entirely. People don't dismiss you. They don't interrupt you. They don't forget your name. Because losing you costs them something, and humans protect what they can't afford to lose. But utility alone isn't enough, not when the world demands more than function. You fear being cruel, but life doesn't. Nature doesn't hesitate. It prunes the weak branch. It starves the slow predator. It eliminates without apology because survival demands it. You were taught that cruelty is always wrong, that any form of harshness makes you a villain. But that's a lie designed to keep you soft. Cruelty without purpose is chaos. But cruelty with logic? That's correction. That's the surgeon's blade removing infection. That's the gardener cutting dead weight so the healthy parts can thrive. You're not cruel when you enforce consequence. You're necessary. Nature cuts to grow. Power eliminates to survive. Every strong system operates on this principle. Businesses fire underperformers. Armies remove weak links. Ecosystems let the unsustainable die. This isn't sadism. It's maintenance. If you refuse to cut what's dead, it rots everything around it. If you refuse to remove what drains you, you'll collapse under the weight. The fear of being cruel keeps you trapped in relationships that exploit you, jobs that underpay you, friendships that extract without return. You think staying is kindness. It's not. It's cowardice dressed as compassion, and it's killing you slowly. Cruelty, when guided by logic, becomes correction, not chaos. The difference is intent. Cruelty for pleasure is pathology. Cruelty for survival is strategy. When you cut someone off who repeatedly disrespects your boundary, that's not cruelty. That's enforcement. When you fire someone who refuses to improve, that's not cruelty. That's leadership. When you stop lending money to someone who never pays you back, that's not cruelty. That's self-preservation. The people who call you cruel for protecting yourself are the same people who benefited from your weakness. Their opinion is not feedback. It's manipulation. I've made cuts that felt brutal. I've ended partnerships that looked stable. I've walked away from people I cared about because they were incompatible with where I was going. And every time I was told I was cold, heartless, too calculated. But here's what they didn't see. Those decisions saved me. They created space for people who matched my energy. They freed resources I was wasting on dead-end investments. I wasn't cruel, I was necessary. And the difference between the two is simple. Cruelty seeks harm, necessity seeks function. One destroys for pleasure, the other removes for survival. Necessary cruelty is mercy for the strong. It's mercy because it prevents slow decay. It stops you from becoming the man who tolerates everything and commands nothing. It protects your time, your energy, your mission from parasites, disguised as people in need. You're not here to save everyone. You're not here to be endlessly patient with those who refuse to grow. You're here to build something that lasts. And nothing that lasts is built by allowing weakness to linger. The strong cut cleanly. They move without guilt. They understand that elimination is not the opposite of compassion. It's the prerequisite for clarity. But clarity demands something most avoid, the ability to feel less and see more. You think empathy connects you, but it actually exposes you. You feel what they feel. You carry their pain like it's yours. You absorb their anxiety, their anger, their chaos, and you call it connection. But it's not. It's contamination. Empathy without boundary is emotional surrender. You lose yourself in the process of understanding them. You forget your mission. You abandon your standards. You become a mirror for everyone else's dysfunction while your own life crumbles in the background, and they don't even notice. Because people don't value what they can access freely. They value what resists them. Empathy without power is emotional debt. Every time you take on someone's burden without the capacity to solve it, you accumulate weight you can't carry. You become the therapist with no off switch, the friend who's always available, the partner who absorbs every complaint without pushback. And slowly, invisibly, you drown. Your energy drains. Your clarity fades. Your own goals become secondary to managing everyone else's emotions. This is not kindness. It's self-destruction. And the people you're helping, they're not growing. They're learning that you'll always be there to catch them, so they stop catching themselves. When you absorb others' pain, you forget your own mission. You stop asking what you need. You stop protecting what matters. You become reactive instead of strategic. Every decision you make is filtered through someone else's feelings. Will this hurt them? Will they be upset? Will they think I'm cold? And while you're negotiating with their emotions, your life stalls. Your projects sit unfinished. Your boundaries erode. Your self-respect dissolves into the need to be seen as caring. But caring without discernment is not strength. It's weakness dressed as virtue. And it makes you predictable, controllable, easy to manipulate. I used to think empathy was my advantage. I could read people. I could feel their intent before they spoke. I thought this made me powerful. It didn't. It made me vulnerable. Because while I was busy understanding everyone else, no one was protecting me. I gave weight to opinions that didn't matter. I absorbed criticism from people whose judgment I didn't respect. I let their emotional state dictate my decisions. And every time I did, I lost ground, I lost clarity, I lost control. Until I realized empathy is only useful when paired with detachment. You can understand someone without adopting their emotions. You can see their pain without carrying it. That's observation. That's power. Feel less. Observe more. Control everything. This is not coldness. It's precision. You don't need to feel their pain to understand it. You need distance, perspective, the ability to see patterns without being consumed by them. When you stop absorbing and start analyzing, you become dangerous, not cruel, dangerous. Because you see manipulation before it lands. You recognize emotional leverage before it's deployed. You understand their tactics without falling for them. And that makes you unshakable. People can't guilt you. They can't emotionally blackmail you. They can't weaponize your empathy because you've replaced it with something sharper, ruthless observation. And observation without emotion is the final form of control. You now understand the difference. The good man waits for respect. The necessary man takes it, not through force, through function, through undeniable presence, through the quiet refusal to be optional. Goodness made you harmless. Necessity makes you untouchable. The world doesn't reward your intentions. It rewards your impact. And impact requires you to stop apologizing for taking space. Stop explaining yourself to people who wouldn't understand even if you did. Stop performing virtue for an audience that mistakes it for weakness. Machiavelli didn't write The Prince to make you comfortable. He wrote it to make you conscious. Conscious that morality is a tool, not a master. Conscious that survival justifies strategy. Conscious that the only sin in power is being forgettable. You were never meant to be liked by everyone. You were meant to be necessary to the right ones, and the right ones don't respect politeness, they respect consequence. But necessity without narrative is invisible. You can be indispensable and still be erased if you don't control how you're seen. That's why you need to watch the previous video. Control the narrative, or be erased from it. Because power without story is just function, and function without perception dies in silence. If you've made yourself necessary, but others still don't see it, you've only done half the work. That video will show you how to own the story before someone else writes it for you. Watch it now. This is not a suggestion. Now, comment this phrase, power over purity. Write it. Lock it in. That's your declaration. That's your shift. No explanation, no hesitation. Just the phrase. The necessary do not beg for permission. They enforce reality.